Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining today's Order Management Demo Series session. Today's topic, Modern Inventory in Action, focuses on how Manhattan's order management capabilities deliver real-time visibility, precise allocation, and accurate delivery promises so you can fulfill confidently across every channel. You'll see how leading retailers are improving customer trust, boosting conversion rates, and ensuring every order is executed with precision. In the next 30 minutes, Larry, our solutions expert with more than 20 years of store solution experience, will guide you through the capabilities that make it possible. It'll help your team make smarter decisions, keep customers informed, and deliver with confidence. Feel free to submit your questions for our product experts in the Q&A feature. We'll do our best to answer them live, and we'll follow up afterward if needed. And if you'd like to schedule a personalized demo, just reach out to events@manage.com. Now I'll pass it over to Larry to get started.
Okay, thank you, Kenneth. So what I thought we'd do, the focus of this demo being interactive inventories, we would start with the end, kind of the end goal of interactive inventory, what it looks and how you could actually use it. And then we'll kind of peel back the layers there and go into what supports it and what you really have to have in place in order to do this accurately. So if we just look at just conceptually on the screen here, you see just a typical, although very blank product details page, right? So this could be any website, any selling channel, maybe it's customer service placing orders, maybe it's more commonly a website, could be any other place. But the idea and the reason we built this interactive inventory tool was to present more information when your customers are on a page like this to help you convert the sale. So the whole goal of this part of the demo, and hopefully you remember this as a takeaway, is we want to increase conversion of your carts, primarily online and in any other selling channel. And we do that by providing some unique functionality that Manhattan Active Omni has, specific to a couple of components. But let's look at conceptually what kind of data we can present to you, and you could integrate into the shopping experience for your customer. So imagine without interactive inventory, I land on a page like this, and you've probably got some descriptions, and you probably have some links on there, and there's probably some kind of shipping estimate. It delivers within 3 to 5 days, or however long you kind of guess on when an item would be delivered. And the customer doesn't get really any confidence in seeing that. And in fact, a lot of what we're seeing is they will abandon the carts more often with that kind of abstract information on projecting when something's going to arrive, especially those that are in a hurry. They want something because they have an event coming up, let's on the weekend. They have to have it by Friday. If they land on this page and they want this hoodie by Friday and you tell them maybe 3 to 5 days to get there, that doesn't give them a lot of confidence to shop. Also, if you have retail stores, maybe you want to push some traffic to your stores locally as well. This kind of page is also the opportunity to do that. So let's look at conceptually what kind of information we could provide. So I'm going to bring in that. So if you look here on the right-hand side, this is the results of the interactive inventory service that we have. It's an API, right? So you will choose how to render the data of course, on your own web store. That's up to you. Just focus on the kind of data that we will provide to you. So most importantly, if you look at the top right of the screen here, you've got for every service level that you would offer to the customer, we will provide a projected delivery date. This is the date to the customer's doorstep. This is not a projected ship date because, quite frankly, customers don't care anymore when something's going to ship. They only really care about when it's going to be delivered. And so if you start thinking about what would you need in order to come up with an accurate estimated delivery date, as accurate as possible, there are many factors that we're going to get into that will impact that. And the more inaccurate you are, the more disappointed your customers will be in the end. So we put a lot of effort into making these dates very accurate and specific to the scenario where you are. So for same day, economy, standard, and express, maybe those are my service levels. The service returned, the deliver to the doorstep date for each and every one of those, right? Some other things we returned along with that service call is we say, which one of those service options would have shipped from nearby? So if you want to present to your customers that, to reduce your carbon footprint, we're going to ship, if you select this service level, we will ship from a nearby location. We will tell them that, or we will tell you that in the return or the response on the service call. We'll also tell you, if we're kind of rush services, when they must order it in order to deliver that today. So if you're offering for additional fees, same day delivery, there needs to be considerations on when you could offer that up until, because you wouldn't want to promise a customer at 5:30 p.m. same day delivery if you know the courier service for the store that it would ship from cuts off at 5:20 p.m. right? You would not want to offer same day delivery for that. So in that service call for interactive inventory, we will tell you which of these are available, the ETA, as well as when they would need to order by to get that based on their expectation. You notice we also put in the local store inventory. So if they're in wherever their geographic area, if you tell us where that is based on like a postal code or something, we will say of the given stores in that area, here is the availability, the units available, how many are in stock right now, and then when they need to order it for pickup, if they want to pick it up today. So that factors in labor capacity, all sorts of other things that you would have in those stores. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is present this kind of picture in order to increase the conversion of your sales online. Okay, so let's talk about the fundamentals and how we got there, right? So the first thing you need to do to provide this kind of information accurately to your customers is you need accurate inventory availability, right? So that's the first area we're going to go into, and I'll show you how Manhattan Active Omni provides that inventory availability, how we model it, and the control you have over it. So I'm going to go and I'm going to log in. Sorry, I'm going to log in as a super user here. 1 second. Okay, so log in. So now I'm in Manhattan Active Omni, and I am a super user. So I need to manage my rules around inventory. So we have this feature called Available to Commerce. Right? So I'll go to Available to Commerce. What this does is it lets you create different views. Each one of these boxes is a view. I have views for delivery or ship to home. I have views for pickup in store. I do a lot of demos, so I have several views. Most of our clients have 1 or 2 of each of these, so it's very simple. But the idea is each one of these views basically contains a set of business rules. And those business rules reflect exactly which inventory you want to make available to a given channel or for a given purpose, right? So if you take your web store as a primary example, so your digital or your e-com channel, you probably will have one view dedicated for e-com to be able to know how much inventory is available to sell for delivery to the customer's home, right? And so in order to make it easy to understand, what is configured inside of these views, we will use generative AI here, and each view gets summarized. So there's quite a bit of capability inside of the business rules. So we will just summarize it for the super user. As they come in here, they can see what's the current impact of the view that I've created, and how many views do I have, what version am I using. Each view can have, like I said, a different version here. You can save it as a different version if you wanted. You have audit history of the views on who changed what. But the idea is it's very powerful in that you can slice and dice the inventory you have available to sell into different views of it, so you can make sure that you're only showing to the customers online or in another channel exactly what you want to see. So if you have a marketplace or you're doing wholesale as well in the same system, you can use views to split it up and make sure that you're not overselling in one channel versus another. So I'm going to go into this view, this example one. This one's not active right now, so I'm able to go in and edit this. And we'll just show a little bit of what's inside of an inventory availability view. When you go in here, basically you will select the type of locations you want to control the inventory availability for. So here I've got my distribution centers, my stores, and my drop ship vendors, right? And for each of those, you will get a selection of which locations, items, and inventory you want to include. We'll get to what commerce characteristics is in a minute. But if I go to my distribution centers, I'll say, okay, which locations? You could just do the easy button, right? You could just select include all, and everything's basically included in your environment. So all distribution centers now would be included, and their inventory would be included in this view. But you can also do some exceptions or exclusion rules. So I'd say all my DCs, except for these 2 DCs, maybe these 2 I don't want to include in my view. So very simple to say which DCs you want to allow for this purpose, the web store to have access to. You can even do which items. Now here I've just said every item in those DCs that qualify. And then you can say which inventory. So we are able to track inventory, and it's a little bit unique for our solution. We can track the inventory, not just what is on hand. Of course, we can track on-hand inventory, and you can control which attributes of that supply will make it available. But you could also track what's coming in transit, right? So what that lets you do is include your inventory, include the scope of your inventory. So just because you're out of stock in your primary DC to sell it to a customer on the web, you could leverage Manhattan Active Omni to look at what's coming in on a truck or what's on a purchase order to, at the very least, tell them, okay, we're out of stock now, but it will be here next Tuesday, or potentially even to start selling or pre-selling against that stock, because we know it's on a truck, we know it's due in on whatever date the ETA is. So the scope of inventory for us is not just on hand, but it's in transit and on order supply as well. And you can see here, you can use different attributes of the supply to determine which ones you want to trust as part of your view and which ones you want to exclude. So very powerful for DC. So I'm able to control exactly which inventory my DCs I want to make available. I can do the same thing for stores. Stores are much more complex, honestly, from an inventory availability standpoint, more complex than distribution centers, because you don't control the labor really in the store. I mean, that people will need to help customers that are walking around the stores. They're not going to be dedicated usually to fulfilling orders. So you need to control for that. And you need to control for the fact that most of the time your inventory accuracy isn't going to be as good in a store as it is in a DC. So we give you all those tools in these business rules to control for those kind of varying factors. For example, I could say, which of my stores, which store inventory should I include in my view? And here I say, well, only a store that will ship. So you can have stores that participate or don't participate in the shipping process. And then of course you can do exclusions as well. Here I said every store that will ship except for this one, maybe this one we're getting ready to go through a physical inventory count or something with, right? So there's all sorts of options there. With stores, you can also do items. Here I said all my items in the stores except the accessories. So maybe those are low margin items in my stores and I don't want to expose that inventory online. So once I set this up, all my store inventory that qualifies for the view will be included as available, except for the accessory category here. And you can, again, use different attributes of the items to decide which ones are going to be included in the views and which ones will not. Same options on inventory. It's up to you on whether you use in-transit supply or not. Most of our clients, at least, will use at least the on-hand supply. But if you wanted to look at a truck that's coming to the store, we can use that as availability as well. Commerce characteristics are pretty unique to store environments, right? So with stores, commerce characteristics can target supply that's distressed. So if you imagine there's a customer in the middle of Atlanta that wants an item, and you have a store that's in the middle of Atlanta that is kind of like at plan or maybe even below plan as far as they've sold more than they expected to of that item. And then you have a store on the outskirts of Atlanta with the same item, but they have way too much of that SKU because it just did not sell as well up there as they thought it would. Well, you can use these views to target that distressed inventory in the store that's further away and start selling it and exposing it to the online customer ahead of time, right? So before you have to mark it down, you can use these availability rules to target an attribute like its sell-through percentage to start exposing that more and more to the digital channel, let them sell it to their customer base, and then you bring that store back down to its planned position. Okay. So there are quite a bit. This is really just scratching the surface. There's a lot of other capabilities here in the system. You can protect your inventory. Like I said, this is controlling for inventory inaccuracy issues. So maybe we'll protect at a safety stock level, whatever level you tell us to protect. So if there's 10 in store and safety stock is 2 for that store, we will only show 8 as available in the view, right? So you can use inventory protection. We support substitutions. We support quite a bit on outages as well. So you can have like a weather event occurring and you want to take out 10 stores temporarily for the weekend. You can do that through configuration in our system. Very, very simple to do. Okay, so let's get out of available to commerce of that view. So now you know what's inside of these views. This is the one I'm actively using. So we're going to look at our item, right? So if we remember that this item here, this is our hoodie 1354A01 is the item ID. I'm going to go into my view and we're going to query the view, just simulating what would happen if the web store asked us how much is available to sell. So I'm going to go into my my stats for that view. It gives me like a little graphical interface on what's the impact, how many are available in this view, how many are you hiding, how much is out of stock, things like that. I could use generative AI to ask a simple question, just like in plain text, or I can dictate a question to ask about inventory. I'm just going to key it in and ask the view how much is available. And it tells me there are 300 available in the DC, there's 8 in the store. I can tell you right now, physically, there are 10 units in that store. Like if I went into the system to the enterprise inventory layer that shows me how much is actually there are actually 8 there. There's one that has been allocated to another order, and there's another one that's being protected because it's a safety stock level. So to the outside world in this view, they think there's only 8 available in stores right now. And that's on purpose because that lets you control the view, right? Okay, so that's my ship to home. You could do the same thing for pickup at store, right? So I could go into my pickup at store, go to the stats, get the same kind of interface and type the same number. But now for pickup in store, you have to obviously say which store you want to look at. So it'll only bring up the stock for that store. If I look at a store that doesn't have that in stock, the view will return there's nothing available for that. So the website can interact when it's doing pickup in store independently and get this availability. So keep that in mind. Inventory availability, very important for us to present this kind of information. It's kind of the first step you would have to do is have accurate inventory availability. Okay, second step is promising. Because how would we get these delivery date estimates? I mean, if we only knew the inventory availability, we still are missing like a huge part of the calculation, which is, okay, number one, is it available to sell? Number two, if we did sell it, where would we ship it from? How long would John and Mary working in store 133 take to fulfill that order today, right, given their current workload? And how long will the parcel carrier take to get it to their doorstep? So all these other factors must be considered in order to come up with one of these estimated delivery dates, right? So the tool we use for that is called adaptive network fulfillment. Some people call it promising, some people call it allocation, right? So this is the process that decides who's going to fulfill an order, right? So I'm going to go into my, again, as a super user, my business rules. I'm going to look at a sample one here. So the idea is you can configure under what scenario do you want to execute these business rules for your promising strategy, right, for allocation. And here I did a very simple one. I said, if it's this order type, I had a demo order type here. If an order comes in with this order type and it's not on hold, I'm going to execute whatever business rules I put in here. But you could get very specific. You could say any attributes of the order, the customer, anything like that can be used to model it. But the key to this part of, again, it's tied to the views we were just talking about, but the key to figure out who's going to fulfill the order is this optimization tab here. So this basically, if you remember anything from this part of the demo, this looks at your cost to fulfill. So it will calculate whatever you've selected as the cost to fulfill, look at all the potential options for who could fulfill it, and then select the lowest cost provider or lowest cost option that will get it there in time. So that will automatically minimize your split shipments, right? Because your transportation cost doubles and triples every time you want to split an order up. So it'll automatically do that. and it will automatically keep your costs lower, right? So there's many different ways. So if I went in and let's look at one of those orders I had. I'm going to use our customer service solution just to show you an order. So I said one of those orders for that item was taken or already allocated. That was to Alex. So here's his order. You can see it's an allocated status. So this order I put in earlier today, it was allocated by the system. I'm going to take the order ID and we're going to look kind of behind the scenes on what the decision-making logic was for Alex's item. So this is kind of a little tool that lets us inquire on orders and the background information we have. So here's Alex's order. I'm going to go in and I'm going to look at the analysis screen. And it's going to tell me this is the logic we went through to figure out who would ship Alex's order. And you can see it selected the store 133 because it calculated the shipping cost and the handling cost. Shipping cost was the lowest to ship it from the store. The handling cost was higher, like our labor in the store was higher than labor in the distribution center in Georgia. So it did consider shipping it out of the DC in Georgia, but ultimately it chose the store because it could get it there for just maybe the same amount of time or faster and for a lower cost to us, right? So that's an example of using cost to figure out who's going to fulfill an order. It does scheduling to come up with the estimated delivery date on those orders as well. So that's an example of using this order promising rules. I'll just mention real quick when it comes to the order promising that we will provide you, let me get out and go back to my super user. We will provide you with a dashboard to see how that is going for you. So as an enterprise, how are all those promising decisions impacting you? We will help you and recommend areas you could improve, right? So for areas of constraint, we can tell you where, for whatever reason, we had to allocate from a different location because you were out of inventory in the best location, the one that was closest to the customer or cheapest. We could say we had to skip that because you were out of inventory and give you some actionable lists on other areas you should look at increasing your inventory to for the items. Same thing for labor capacity. We could tell you you were out of capacity and these 6 stores, these are the ones that we're always having to skip over because you don't have enough people working in there. And we will give you recommended capacity changes to those stores. And of course, you can export those to Excel if you want to. Okay, so we've done the promising. We've got the inventory. That is the heart of interactive inventory. So basically what we do is we combine those together and we provide this service, right? That service is what can pull in this information, right? So I can simulate that. You know, this is an API. The interactive inventory is an API. We actually use it a little bit in our solutions, right? So if I go back here and I will open up customer service again, because we actually use interactive inventory there, right? And if I am Alex, I'm shopping on behalf of Alex again. And we're going to go in and look at Alex's item. We'll shop for an item for Alex, the same one that we were using. Okay, so this is kind of like our simulated product details page in customer service, but you can see when I brought up his item, kind of like your PDP here, it immediately returned the estimated delivery dates for if he ordered this item right now. That's an example of the service being used, like what you would call, of course, we could put a lot more information on there, but it gives you an idea of how you would consume that service. Now, toward the end here, I'm going to wrap up in a second. As you're getting these kind of service calls throughout the day, how are you going to monitor to know what the experience is for your customer? Because again, the purpose is to increase conversion of sales online. So we will provide you with a tool for understanding what the impact is on your business and on your customers, right? So if I go to my interactive inventory dashboard, right, this is going to present to you from the product details page, metrics, or the shopping cart or checkout. So we really haven't talked about this, but this interactive inventory service can be used in the context of a PDP, a PLP, your listing page, the cart and checkout. You can use it from multiple points in the shopping journey, right? So here I'm able to get the experience of the consumer, right? How long is it taking us to return that information to your website? You know, so we'll give you metrics on that. Obviously, it must be really quick, right? And then I can already see there's a problem, right? So 2-day service, we're telling them on average 3 days is the response. So I probably have a bottleneck in my supply chain. that I need to look into, right? So we'll give you all these kinds of metrics on the different locations. We'll tell you what converts to orders, right? And then now, most of our clients, especially with parcel carriers that we integrate with out of the box, right? We will get the delivery date when we actually deliver the orders. So we have the end-to-end picture. We have what we told them was going to happen, and then what actually happened when the carrier delivered it. So we give you this performance dashboard that will tell you what's been delivered on time, what was early, and what I would monitor is this one. How often is it later than what we expected, right? And you'll be able to go back and see what the experience is for your customers, because now Manhattan Active Omni, through interactive inventory feature, is giving you that end-to-end picture. I'll just mention real quick, if you think about what it had to do to come up with those dates, right? I showed you the inventory and the promising, but it has to do that like that, right? It has to be, you ask us for this top, how long is it going to take to be delivered? We have to go through all that logic on the fly and return it sub-second to you, basically, right? So what we're going to do is some of those are configuration dependent at first, right? So like lead time for a location, like the labor lead time based on their capacity, how long does the carrier take to get from one zone to another? We can use machine learning to override those configurations. And in the dashboard, it will tell you, if you used our machine learning model, this would have been the difference in actual performance, right? So that, you probably wouldn't turn that on day one, but as you get used to the system, we will start presenting you the machine learning model. And once you're comfortable, once it will improve the overall results, you switch to that and you're no longer having to maintain those configurations. Okay, so I'll wrap up here with some use cases, right? Just to mention, you can use the interactive inventory service on checkout, and it will do exactly what I just showed you, right? You can use it on the product details page, right? And that was kind of the primary use case, right? Delivery dates, your pickup availability in stores. You could use it, we didn't even talk about this, on the product listing page, right? So we could tell you which ones are in stock and which ones are out of stock. You can also use it on your search, and this is becoming very popular, like anchor a store to the search, so kind of shop my store. Interactive inventory can tell you, based on the results you're going to paint to the consumer, which ones are available in their local store. And then finally, if you wanted to take advantage, we can expose that availability information directly to Google search. You really don't have to do anything. It's just a configuration setup, and Google search will now be able to tell your customers that are shopping on Google search which ones are available in their local stores or just available online to order. So that is interactive inventory. Kenneth, I'll turn it back over to you to wrap up.
Thank you, Larry, and thank you to everyone else for joining us today. We hope you found this session helpful and got a closer look at how real-time inventory visibility, optimized allocation, and precise delivery commitments can help you fulfill with confidence. Our next session will be on September the 19th, where we will cover precision promising, which is powered by AI. You can scan the QR code that's on screen to save your seat.